This is a license. This is a license. This is a license. And believe it or not, this is a license. The game is also stored on here, but so is the license. I can't use this on this, even though the software this license grants me access to is available on both of these platforms. Sure, it's a slightly different version, but this is functionally the same game. Game publishers tell us we don't own the games we buy. We've simply purchased a license. Terms and conditions apply, nothing more than an indefinite rental. License revocable at their discretion. I own this game keycard, but I can't own the license. The license grants me access for only as long as the owner of the digital content feels like granting me access. Wouldn't it be great if that wasn't the case? Well, it doesn't need to be this way. I wrote most of this script at the end of last year, but I've been busy. With Sony doing what they've done lately, I figure it's time I put this one out. This is my copy of Goldfinger, a James Bond movie on DVD. It looks like this was manufactured in 2006. The last time I watched this movie was in 2012. The last time I tried to watch this was 2022, but it froze and wouldn't play back after a certain point. I tried cleaning it, even though the disc is flawless, and I tried several different DVD players, but nothing. I own the physical good, and it's worthless. I'd be better off with a license granting me access to a digital copy that won't degrade or get damaged. Better yet, a license allowing me to copy the movie from a server so I can fully back it up in several places and play it back on whatever device I choose. We all know movies, and music for that matter, aren't games. They are much more open as a form of media and very easily pirated due to being contained, linear experiences. However, as Sony has recently demonstrated, they can also be locked down by DRM, and your access can simply be revoked if you purchased on their platform. Imagine for a moment that Steam is shutting down. All the games you've spent money on are no longer going to be accessible, and they sure as shit aren't going to let you download them all DRM free before they close the servers. As unlikely as it is to happen anytime soon, clearly we need a better solution for the long term. We need to actually own something, because even this doesn't really feel like ownership. My original N64 doesn't work right now, making this absolutely useless. 2 is 1, 1 is none. If this fails, which it will eventually, according to physics, ownership won't matter. I'll own yet another useless piece of plastic. Far more likely, the proprietary piece of hardware required to play this will eventually fail and be long out of manufacturing, leaving emulation as the only viable route to play the game stored on here, which will require a backup of the data from the card to something more accessible and open. Which means there are 2 things we need to solve here. 1, how can we actually maintain a license in perpetuity, no strings attached? And 2, how can we legitimately back up the data of the content to preserve it for when the servers inevitably shut down or we lose access to the internet altogether? Now, all of this is predicated on the premise that any of this shit matters at all. And you know, I gotta be honest, it doesn't. Sure, it matters to me, and it might matter to my daughter if she gets into this stuff and inherits my collection, but will it matter to her kids or grandkids? Does it need to work in 50 years or even be remembered? For the sake of argument, let's just say yes. So, what can be done? Let's go back to imagining Steam is shutting down. Now imagine you could simply sign into your Steam account, export all your licenses, download them in some sort of standardized format, and back them all up however you see fit. You could actually physically hold and store a perpetual license like this one, but on here. It is still just a license. You don't own the content due to copyright and whatnot, but you'd hold and control your license. Then simply go to a different platform where the game you want to play is still available, sign into your account, and import the license. Would this involve linking some accounts and internet check-ins and DRM up the ass? Yes, but at least the license you've paid for would be attached to a product and not a platform. The platform could disappear or become super scummy because they've been on top for too long, but the content, the product, could be hosted elsewhere and re-downloaded if needed. Take the example of Sony wiping certain movies and TV shows from people's libraries. Paid content, gone. Terminator 2 is one such movie. Is it available somewhere else on the internet? Yeah, here it is on Amazon. So why can't I extract the license from Sony, the company no longer interested in keeping this content on their platform, and port my license over to Amazon? What does Amazon get out of it? Well, they'd probably need to charge me something. And what's fair? Maybe $1? Either way, I just became more incentivized to buy movies through Amazon since Sony isn't reliable. That's just consumer choice, and that's a good thing, right? Licenses would be filled with metadata, such as the original storefront it was purchased from and the account currently associated with the license. Now let's say I want to move a game from my Nintendo account to my PlayStation account. When transferring a license, you'd be required to enter your login credentials of the platform you're porting from, which is simple enough. We see this kind of thing all over the place. This would prevent people from sharing licenses unless they want to hand over the password to their entire account. You could also, theoretically, sell a license by simply unbinding it from an account altogether. You could download the license first, back it up just in case something goes wrong, and the current platform would release it from your account. Of course, this would also allow for sharing, and we all know how Sony feels about that, so thumbs up. Realistically, it probably should cost a small fee payable to the new platform holder to bind a license to a different account. It is extra load on their servers, so, everything has a cost. This would also allow for a second-hand market to exist where the platform holders still get a small cut, which would incentivize them to maintain good storefronts full of content and feature-rich experiences within their ecosystems. They'd still want to be the place you buy from first and build out and keep your library. The rental market could also make a comeback, and I'm actually surprised it hasn't already. Online game stores could offer rental licenses, and they just expire after a short time. I'm sure there are great business reasons why they don't do this, mostly because they don't have to, but wouldn't it be nice? Even just keeping it to older games 1 or 2 years after they come out. Now I guess that's basically what Game Pass and the like are, but sure would be nice if you could do it a la carte. Physical media, such as game keycards, will also still have their place as something that can easily be traded, sold, borrowed, or simply collected without the hassle of dealing with accounts and digital license management. However, physical media could, and maybe should, be more generic and universal. This could just be on an SD card, and Xbox and PlayStation games are already just regular discs. They don't have to be platform specific, especially if they're just a key and you have to download the game anyway. We know these are going away, and these won't be around forever either, though I expect we have more time with these. But everything will go download only eventually, or at least the vast majority of stuff like this, because I'm sure they'll still make those boutique items for the freaks like us. It's been all digital for quite some time. This is digital, and this. All digital things are stored on physical things. This is just a nice looking physical thing exclusively storing this digital thing. And we could always make physical things that look nice and hold digital things for people who want that. As long as a console has a USB port, we should be able to use a license and full game stored on one of these, or one of these. Yes, DRM or online checks would be required to confirm a valid license to boot the content. Piracy would just be too easy if that wasn't the case, but surely we can figure this out. We download digital games and they're stored on physical devices both inside and outside of our game consoles. This is, in its own way, physical media. Yet, I can't download all my Switch 2 games to an external hard drive. I know I won't be able to play them that way, but I could then copy them to the internal storage of the Switch when I want them on the system and freely delete them when done, without needing to re-download from Nintendo's servers when I want to play them again in the future. The PS5 can do this apparently, so what the hell? Am I supposed to buy a fortune's worth of micro SD express cards if I want to access all my Switch games offline? Anyway, I'm sure I haven't thought of all the pros and cons of a system like this, but it would all serve the purpose of releasing us from the walled gardens that have always existed in the gaming industry. Gardens that didn't exist in movies and music until those mediums went mostly download only, or really streaming only. We are held hostage by these gaming companies and their platforms. And with modern technology being what it is simply anti-consumer. I went with the Xbox One during the last generation because Halo was a big part of my teenage years, and I was hopeful that it would continue as a series I loved. Many of you did not go with the Xbox One. It sucks to have a large portion of my game collection stuck on the Xbox platform, especially when a lot of those games are coming to the Switch too, and if I'm going to replay them, I'd rather play them there. Now I get it, the developer is putting in work porting the game, so they would like me to buy it again. But why not meet me somewhere in the middle? Instead of forcing me to pay full price, at least give me a really decent discount and let me move my Xbox license to Nintendo. I mean, are they really banking on double dippers, or are the majority of of sales going to come from being in front of a new audience on a different console? And let's say I just wanted to jump ship to PlayStation 5, though I'm not sure why I would do that at this point. Either way, I would need to start my collection with Sony basically from scrap, and would need to hang on to an Xbox just to access my previous digital collection, despite pretty much every game also being available on PlayStation. I can't sell the Xbox without losing access to a lot of games I bought download only and can't sell. Phil Spencer said they lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. The continuity from generation to generation is so strong. There is no world where Starfield is an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen. Well, Starfield wasn't an 11 out of 10, but the real point here is he's describing a reality where we can't do anything with our digital collections. The licenses are stuck on the platforms they're purchased on, and they can't be sold. So the sunk cost is a real bitch. Not just for gamers, but apparently for Xbox too. Back in the day, if you got tired of your N64, you could sell it along with all the games and buy a PS1. Or when the generation was over, sell it and buy the next Nintendo console. But if you could only sell the console and were stuck with owning all the now useless games, you might reconsider. That's why I still have an Xbox. Let's say we did have control over our licenses and could move them from platform to platform. If Xbox made a kick-ass console with amazing features and was just flat out a better experience at a better price, and gamers could move their licenses from PlayStation over to Xbox, well, Xbox could maybe actually compete. All platform holders would constantly be trying to get customers to switch, and that competition would be good for us as consumers. Just like how porting your cell phone number lets you negotiate with carriers, because you'll just take your number elsewhere if you're getting subpar service. Imagine being able to freely sell your hardware and try out other options, knowing your game library could exist as licenses physically in your home on a USB stick, ready to be ported when you wanted to play a game you've already paid for. Of course, exclusive games would still be a thing. Not every game comes to every platform, especially indie games, because porting games cost money. Working on multiple versions costs money, and exclusives would still be a mechanism used to entice gamers toward a specific platform. Up until recently, Xbox and PlayStation seemed keen to finally start releasing their games on other platforms, but now they've retreated from that idea because they are so desperate for you to buy their console and get locked into their system. Desperation really is the word of this generation. Now, I go back and forth when it comes to exclusives. Imagine only certain movies played on certain DVD players or... Oh wait, that happened. Anyone remember HD DVD? Yeah, that sucked. I had a friend that went all in on HD DVD. Poor guy. Fortunately, we're past that. Oh. Wait, yeah, right. No, it still sucks. Nintendo is the real stinker when it comes to exclusives. I don't doubt that they will still be making their own hardware that exclusively plays their own games until the day I die. And I don't doubt every one of them will get cracked wide open and emulated forever. Still, I think a license porting system would even put pressure on Nintendo and force them to do better. Take a game like Cyberpunk. It was out for quite some time on other platforms before coming to the Switch 2. How many of the Switch 2 sales do you think were made by people who already owned the game on another platform? These double dippers probably just bought it again simply to have it portably, or honestly, just for the novelty of it. If they could have just moved their licenses to their Nintendo accounts, I suppose that would have hurt sales of that game. And that's the kind of thing that could disincentivize developing for a console like the Switch 2 altogether. Or it could force Nintendo to incentivize third-party developers in other ways, such as offering development support or discounts on manufacturing game cards or providing a higher cut of the revenue from game sales. Now you're probably thinking, ha, Nintendo would never do that, and you're right, Nintendo would never do that, willingly. This whole thing, everything I've mentioned in this video, will probably never happen because it's not in any of these companies' financial interests. You could maybe argue that Xbox would benefit most from digital license portability, since they're the ones in need of having gamers switch over from PlayStation. Ultimately, the big four platform holders would all likely take some hit to their bottom line. Double dipping would mostly be over, though I can't imagine it accounts for that much revenue. And you could argue that double dipping has the negative effect of exposing a gamer to fewer games overall. If you only have so much money to spend and you're spending it on buying a game you already like again, then you're potentially missing out on another experience you may have gone with otherwise, which could have become a new favorite series that you would spend even more money on. Sure, maybe that's stretching it, but hypothetically, that can happen. Anyway, people would still mostly buy from the platform they most use to play games. It's just the easiest thing to do, especially if porting your license did incur a small fee. Even still, it would force platform holders to offer up some good reasons for consumers and publishers to choose their digital store over the others. And they do all have their individual perks. They all have subscription services with rental games and their own platform exclusives, so there are definitely reasons you might choose a specific ecosystem over another. But for multi-platform games, they'd need to compete for customers on a per-game basis, because you could buy a game on any of their storefronts and just port it somewhere else. Like how we used to choose where to buy our games: Toys R Us, EB Games, Walmart, or some little mom-and-pop shop. Even better, wouldn't it be great to buy a license directly from a game studio and then port the license into whichever platform you want to play on? A little extra effort on your part, sure, but the actual maker of the game gets a better cut that way. They'd need to entice third-party developers and publishers to sell through their platform stores by offering a bigger slice of the pie and probably some marketing. And they'd need to fund and secure the best exclusives possible, giving gamers as much reason as possible to choose their one platform over or alongside the others. Gamers are loud. Maybe if we're loud enough, someone in some European government currently cracking down on scummy practices by other tech companies will hear our cries over license portability. This one isn't just for gamers, but for anyone spending money on licenses of any medium. Maybe they'll look around and see how unfair it is to lock licenses to a single platform when the software or art is available on multiple platforms. Or maybe game companies will argue that because each version of the game requires different programming or whatever, and despite the experience of the end user being the same, it isn't actually the same software across platforms, and therefore I have wasted a bunch of time thinking about this. And yeah, that's probably the case. In fact, all of this is probably just of interest to the older and nostalgia-pilled gamers out there. Youngins with their TikToks and Roblox, do they even care about this shit? Are games already just this ephemeral thing, and the notion of going back to an old game just totally unk? Is it unk? Yeah? And maybe they're right. When you go to Disneyland, you don't expect to take home a roller coaster. It's the in-the-moment experience that matters, and live service models have already made that the case with many games. If these companies had their way, that would be all games. FOMO would flow, and we'd always be hungry for the next thing. When a new Mario Tennis comes out, the rest of them would cease to exist. Actually, I'm surprised they didn't delist Mario Tennis Aces. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and I don't know, I just think it'd be cool if I could sell my damn Xbox games. I should at least be able to back up my own save data, for f***'s sake, Nintendo.